Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Shit's Hard. I'm your host, Amber. And today we are talking about intuition and listening to your body. So I've been in this weird rhythm lately where, I don't know, I've just been out of it lately and I feel like I need to get back on track. My brain has felt like scrambled eggs. I think I might have said that in the last episode. But we're going to be talking about the way that people make you feel in your nervous system. We're going to talk about the logical versus the emotional parts of my brain or of your brain or whatever. And then we're talking about organizing in your thoughts and feelings. I just started reading, what's it called? The Body Keeps the Score. And it's so good. It's really good. Definitely 10 out of 10 recommend. I'm only at the beginning. There's the font's kind of small and the book's kind of big. So I think it's going to take me a minute. But it's really, really interesting in terms of people and how we operate, our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and how mental stuff is really, really physical, basically. Or how mental stuff is physical and all that kind of shit. So it's really good so far. It's a lot about trauma. But I feel like anyone could get anything from this book. It's really good. And something that stood out to me the other day was it was talking about how when the emotional side of our brain and the logical side of our brain are contrasting each other, fighting with each other. And so it was basically when somebody that when it's your parent is making you feel unsafe. So it's someone you care for and look to for support, and safety is doing the opposite. So your emotional side is I'm hurt, but your logical side is you're supposed to be helping me. Or it's when you want somebody romantically, but you can't have them because of literal logical reasons. And it's so when that pull happens, it's what happens in your brain is frustrating and confusing. And I don't know, it was just really interesting. So we're going to talk about it. I had this really good conversation the other day with this girl at the gym. Her and I are fucking very chit-chatty all the time. When I get off work, I'm there for another fucking hour because I just talk to everybody for way too long. But her and I accidentally talked for an hour and a half, literally in the weight room, in the back on the mats. So that was kind of funny. But it was really good. And it was a really necessary conversation. And sometimes I feel when I talk about my feelings too much, I started talking about my feelings more outwardly probably a year and a half ago or something. Maybe more than that. I've always been pretty open, but after I started going to therapy for the first time, I realized it was very helpful for me to talk to other people about what's going on in my head. Keeping it in was not super healthy for me. I don't think it's super healthy for anyone. But for me, it I don't know. It made me feel less alone. It made me feel less your feelings are less scary if you share them with people, because you realize everyone else's reaction is oh yeah, I felt that too, that's, where sometimes when it's just you feeling things, you start to get in your head and you're am I crazy, blah blah blah. But anyways, so she had some really good perspectives to share, because sometimes what I was going with that, I veered off and then I didn't come back. What I was gonna say with that is that sometimes when I talk about my feelings a lot, I feel I'm a broken record, and I'm when you talk about your feelings, sometimes you'll realize new things when you talk to different people about different stuff. You'll get a different perspective and you'll be oh, maybe this is why I feel this way, or maybe that's why this. You'll start to get some answers and clarity. It's kind of why you go to therapy, talk therapy anyway. But with her, I was wow, she's really giving me a new perspective. So she was basically saying listen, I haven't been in a relationship in a long time, so take this with a grain of salt. I was okay. She was but there's a reason for that. And she was I've started to really focus my energy on people who don't disrupt my nervous system. And I was interesting. I've never put it into that kind of perspective before. But basically what she was saying was if I'm around somebody, or if I'm talking to a guy and, he gives me he's kind of playing games. So he gives you a lot of attention and then he takes it away, and then he gives it to you, he takes it away. And she was I notice my nervous system's going like this. And I think sometimes we're drawn to the chaos a little bit of the fun, the thrill of it, the adrenaline, it's when someone lacks and gives you attention, you're it sucks and you're down. But then when it comes back, you're oh my God, they're back. And you get that spike again. And she was I really realized that I didn't like living that way. The logical side of my brain was this isn't healthy. And if someone's making you feel that way, it's not a long-term person to have in your life. So if someone's constantly making you anxious or keeping you on your toes, or they just want to keep you guessing, she was it's just it doesn't feel good. And this could be in friendships too. I mean, in terms of friends, partners, relationships, fucking family, all the above. It's if anyone is like kind of like keeping you on your toes, where you just kind of feel like you're on edge with them. She was like, I try to like veer my energy away from those kind of people because I just like, I don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to be on my toes. Like, I don't like surrounding myself around people who like make me anxious when they're not answering. And she was like, I'm not saying like I'm some crazy person who like, you need to answer me right away. But she was like, there's other people in my life who like, when they don't answer my text, I know that it's just them being busy. And they don't because they show me in their actions and their words that like, they're cool. We're cool and they care about me and all that kind of shit. And so I'm very comfortable and content in our relationship. And I don't feel that it's like walking on a tightrope when they're not around. And I don't know, she really put things into perspective for me because I was like, that is really, really good advice. I know it's really hard when you're like in the dating scene or whatever, you're talking to somebody or even with friends and, you're like, oh my God, like we should totally hang out, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, yeah, we seem like we're on the same wavelength. And you're like, okay. And then you like reach out and you're like, okay, so should we do this day or that day? And maybe they're like, oh, I'm kind of busy. Maybe they keep canceling you or rescheduling on you and you're kind of like, okay, well, like, do they actually want to hang out or were they just saying that or were they just being friendly? You kind of start to get in your head. I feel like, again, this could be like friendships or relationships. It just gets a little exhausting and I can see how we get into that routine habit of the up and down, but after a while, like it's not worth your energy. So I don't know. I had a really good conversation with her about that kind of thing. And she was kind of like, my advice to you would be to do what feels good. And I was like, I love that advice. I really do. Because so many times I think in life, us people want a manual that's applicable to everyone and every situation. And we want this rule book that will just like, from here on out, if this happens, this is what we do type of thing. I mean, we're people. We love structure. We love rules. It's like what simplifies us. We're very, very complicated, complex creatures. And so if we can simplify things and make it easier for us to understand, we will do that. And I think a lot throughout with what I'm going through lately with friendships, breakups, whatever the fuck, I've had some close friends to me who definitely are well-intentioned, but they're like, oh, I think you need to do this, or I think you shouldn't do this, or I think you need to like, unadd him from Instagram or unadd this or whatever. And although I think that these people are like well-intentioned, again, like everybody means well, they're speaking from their own experience with relationships and breakups and what worked for them. And again, totally appreciate other people trying to help me out. But one thing I do pride myself in a lot is knowing myself very well and kind of knowing what's best for me and what feels good to me. And exactly what this girl was saying the other day at the gym was like, do what feels best to you. If you, it's like when you have this relationship with somebody and maybe you're hit like a bump in the road, maybe you're arguing, whatever, you're in a fight, this or that. And you're like, do I want to say something? Do I want to pretend that it didn't happen? Do I want to ignore them? Whatever it may be. That is really up to you and your own situation, your own scenario, and whatever feels good to you. If you're going to send a text to someone and then you're going to feel really, really anxious after you send it, maybe it's not the right move. Maybe saying nothing and staying silent will make you feel better. I think I'm going to really try to adapt that into my own, like, way that I navigate life. I mean, I feel like I kind of already did to an extent, but I'm gonna start like making decisions and stuff based on like, how is this going to make me feel? Is this gonna, if I put myself in this situation, is it gonna make me feel really stressed and anxious? Or is it gonna make me feel calm? Or should I remove myself from this situation because it's making me stressed and anxious? Or even like friendships, being around this group of people makes me feel not good, makes me feel like not me, or it makes me feel fake or disingenuous or whatever it may be. And so I want to remove myself from that situation. I feel like that's a really good approach to a lot of problems that we have in life with people and relationships. And I don't want to spend my time and energy with people who like kind of like give you like a crumb, watch you chase and then give you another crumb. You know what I mean? Like, that's exhausting for me. I don't want to do that. And I think especially in terms of like dating and long-term stuff, this has been so relevant lately because now me and my like close friends are all single. And so we talk about dating all the time. We talk about boys, this and that. And I think it's it's hard right at the beginning when you're like meet someone and you're like seeing them as a potential like love interest. It can be very easy to be like to only see the good and to have the initial excitement and like not the honeymoon phase because you're not like dating yet, but I just mean like, oh, you see all the potential in them, all the green flags, and you can't see any of the red. And maybe they have a lot of green flags, and maybe they don't have a lot of red. But I think just on a terms of like compatibility, it's important to try to tap into the logical side of your brain and like really realize like, okay, once the initial excitement wears off, like let's just say like I did date this person and we got like a year into this relationship with like who they are right now. Like would I like that? Like if somebody's constantly canceling on you and then rescheduling and then maybe showing up and then maybe they don't, would you like that? Like is that a person that you want to like be wasting your energy and time on? One of my close friends, she was talking to this guy and they're both really cool, good people. Like they both are. But they just like, I think, on like a compatibility scale, they weren't very compatible. They didn't have a lot of the same wants or interests or time spent together. So it's like at the beginning, it seems so exciting and you see all the potential, but then it's like once things get boring, it's like, do you actually like who they are, the way that they treat you, like the time, like, I don't know. I just think like a lot of times when I find myself like getting stressed out over a guy and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Why is he acting like this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I try to take a step back and recognize like, wait. Is this even what I want? Like, do I want someone who treats me this way? And the truth is, fuck no, usually. Like, no. Like, do I want someone who's uncertain of me? No. Like, definitely not. Like even, I think it depends on obviously what you're looking for. But again, even in friendships, like, do you want a friend who's like, you know, maybe only friends with you when it's convenient for them, only keeps asking you for shit, but then like when you ask for stuff doesn't respond, you know, is asking you for a ride home from the bar, for a ride from home from the airport. And then when you ask for a ride to the airport, all of a sudden you get no answer. Like when it's like, it's hard to take the emotions out of this kind of stuff. But if you can tap into that logical side and be like, is this the way that I want to be treated by my friends? If I was describing my ideal friend to somebody, would this trait come up? You know, is this what I would want to see? You know, if somebody else was telling me that this happened to them, would I be like, that's not a friend? You know what I mean? And the same thing can be said for like dating and partners. Like, so I don't know. I feel like that's been helping me lately, just in terms of friends and relationships and stuff. Or if I see something with like a potential guy and then I'm like, like it might not even be a red flag. Like I'm not even saying this is a red flag per se, but it could just be like a literal matter of preference. That's like a hard thing to come to terms with too. Is like if you're seeing somebody and you guys are getting along and you're having fun together, but like one of you wants to like buy a house, get married and have kids in the next 2 years, and the other one is like, no, I'm pushing my career and I'm like not trying to have kids. Like nobody's wrong in that scenario, but it's like not gonna work. Like you're like just not on the same page. And so I don't know. That's kind of the things that I've been thinking about lately, talking about with my friends lately, is like focusing on relationships with other people and following your intuition and sitting with like what feels good to me. Again, especially with this breakup, like I've been handling it my way, and that's been honestly going really, really well for me. Breakups are hard. They suck, like obviously, but I've just been doing what feels good to me. Like feeling the feelings, obviously, you know, if I'm sad, I'm sad. If I'm not, whatever. But I don't know. I feel like as of recently, I've definitely been like, I know how I feel about this now. I like, now that I've really sat with it for 6 months, and I know some people are very like cut off, no contact. This is how I do it. You know, some people still talk to their ex, whatever. Some people this and that. But like genuinely, I think as long as you're doing what feels right to you and not trying to like act on what other people want you to be doing, then like, I don't know. That's the way to go. A lot of my friends were telling me to unadd them on Instagram and stuff. And I don't know, I didn't want to for the longest time. And I didn't feel the need to. And it also wasn't hurting me. I mean, my ex doesn't really fucking post shit ever anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But I didn't really find it relevant. And some of them were really like insistent on like, this has to happen in order for you to heal. And I was like, it doesn't. That's not how my brain works. That might be how your brain works. But there's nobody who knows me like me. There's nobody who knows how to take care of me like me. And that's not what I need right now. That's not what I want to do. It wouldn't feel good to do that. And I don't have to. This is my life, and I make the choices, and I get to call the shots, and I get to do whatever the fuck I want, and respectfully. I think, too, a big thing is a lot of people, when they have feelings, they want to attach an action to it. So when something big happens, like a breakup, people want to attach, like, oh, I need to do something, you know? If I'm sad about this breakup, I have to do something. I need to take action. And it's like, the only thing that's going to heal you in all the, like, fucking traumatic shit in life is time. And I wouldn't even say it's always going to heal you all the way. Sometimes it never heals. But, like, the only way things get easier is time. So, like, whether it be a breakup, whether you have trauma, grief, whatever it may be, like, time is usually at least a pretty big factor in terms of getting past things and getting over it, or at least moving on. And I was like, I don't think unadding my ex on Instagram would speed anything up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not actively hurting me right now, and it's also, like, not going to help me. It's not going to do anything. And I think if someone else were going through a breakup and they felt like they needed to unadd their ex on Instagram to not see their posts or whatever, they should do that. Because circling back, you should always be doing what feels good to you, more than what anybody else tells you that they think that you should be doing. You know, we have to respect other people, but a lot of people are giving you their advice based on their own personal experience, which is the best that they have, obviously. How else are they supposed to give you advice? But everyone has different relationships and different things and different breakups, and it was a different situation. So, like, knowing yourself and having that relationship with yourself is going to get you the farthest in terms of just, like, taking care of that nervous system. I just love how she said that. I just love how she was like, I'm kicking you out if you disrupt my nervous system. I was like, I'm obsessed with this. Like, yes, like, I think I didn't know how to word it before, but I have been living that way to an extent, to where I was like, kind of, I don't want people fucking up my vibe. Like, you know? Like, I don't know how to explain it other than, like, I just don't want people around who make me feel shitty, you know? Like, I don't want people around who make me feel uncomfortable, who make me feel bad, who make me feel anxious, stressed, whatever it may be. Like, I don't want that. And that has kind of put it into words for me. Is like, how you affect me emotionally and mentally, how you make me feel, your vibe, your energy, if it's off, you're out. You are out. That is what we're taking into 2024. Come on now. Another thing that I've been working on lately is distractions. I feel like I've had a lot of thoughts lately. I feel like in terms of, like, healing and growing as a person, I was kind of filling a void with some things that I shouldn't have been. And as of lately, I've removed that, and now I'm, like, kind of trying to get through the mud, get through the thick of it. And I don't know, I have, like, very brain scatter, very unorganized thoughts and whatever. I did go to therapy today, thank God. I'm so happy to be back. But also, I discovered Do Not Disturb on my phone like 5 days ago, like Saturday. Today's Thursday. And it's been, like, life-changing for me. I just, like, for some reason, I, like, could not get off my phone. I could not stop checking notifications. I could not stop, like, watching who viewed my story. What are people thinking of me? I was, like, posting Instagram stories for other people, like, thinking about, like, what is this going to make people think of me, blah, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong, social media, definitely, you're going to leave an impression. But before that, I was really proud of my Instagram and my social medias because I felt like they were reflecting me. And that's all I really cared about, was, like, I just want this to reflect me, to be my page and my account. And I want somebody who knows me to look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's Amber. And so I don't know, this past week, I just felt like I was living for other people. I was posting for other people. I was like, I wasn't catering to me and how I felt. I was catering to other people, and I didn't like that. And so I don't know, I've never really used Do Not Disturb other than when I record these podcasts usually, but other than that, I really don't use it. And I turned it on Saturday, and I have not turned it off since. And it's been amazing. It's been, like, silent. It's like now I can hear my own thoughts and my own wants and needs and fulfill those myself without having that noise of, like, my phone, social media. Like, my phone was able to pull me out of the real world at any point in time. As soon as I got a notification, I would click it, I would view it, I would read it, I would respond. Like, I just was so accessible. I don't know what happened on Saturday. I was trying to clean my room, and I just was like, I have a problem. Like, I cannot stay on task to save my life right now. Like, something has to change. And It did. Finally, it did. I hit do not disturb and I was still checking it. I was like clicking it, but then no notifications were on my home screen. And so then I would like finally walk away and keep doing what I was doing. I'm like a dog. I'm trying to train myself. A dog in training. I'm like don't click your phone. There's nothing there. Um, that's been really helpful. So now today I discovered you can like customize do not disturb because I didn't even realize at all. Nobody could call me for the last 5 days. Or like if they did, it like went straight to voicemail. I think if they called twice in 3 minutes, then it would actually ring the second time, but I don't think anyone would figure that out. But anyways, I don't know if my family tried to call me or what, but either way, I didn't realize that. So now I've changed the settings so like certain people's notifications can go through. But it's been like very blissful, very like, okay, now I'm living in the real world. Now I'm no longer living in this fucking text box. Because, I mean, you guys know, like growing up in this generation, it's actually really hard. And it's something that the older generations really don't get. Was growing up with this like easy access to technology. Fucked with my head so bad. And definitely contributed to my ability to like focus on real tasks and stay fucking disciplined. So it's like testing me all the time. Every time my phone lights up, it's testing me. Don't get me wrong, I'm still checking it and shit, but now I'm like able to finally, like when I start a task, finally I can like finish that task through without tapping my phone, which is something I was doing incessantly before. So that's the shit that we're working on this week is, yeah, like feelings do not always need actions. So if you're having big feelings, sometimes the best thing you can do is sit with it and feel it all the way through and then make actions on it. That's what I've been doing lately. And it's been working out very, very well. And it kind of gives me some clarity. And it also takes me time to be really articulate about like what I mean when I say, and what do I actually want out of this versus like me spewing off just because I'm angry and emotional. And so I don't know. That's been really, really helpful lately. Other shit that we're working on, I'm getting to know me better. I'm working on my own expectations and standards of my friends and people in my life that are going to be close to me. It's a really big privilege to have access to me, and not everybody's going to get that. So that's what we're working on lately is, you know, keeping the people close who make you feel good, who make your nervous system feel good, and kind of giving ourselves a little bit of space and veering our attention away from people who are not making our nervous system feel good. Because what a change, like what a powerful thing to say. That's been so helpful and inspirational for me lately. So that is what I'm working on. If you want to see more from me, hear more from me, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Amber Meisner with 2 R's. And I will see you on the next one because this shit is hard.